Hello everybody and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program, where as promised we are almost through this burn. I did physics warp it and it was a little bit off the marker basically the whole time, so we'll see how accurate this ends up being, but it's probably going to be close enough. Looking at what we've got there, we may be able to fine-tune it a little bit, but we'll see if that ends up being necessary. I mean, this thing is kind of complicated to steer with the with the multiple craft attached to it. So we'll see what we end up doing with that. But we've got about 1.5 meters per second left to burn here. Oh, we are chilling here, apparently. Okay. And there we go. We'll call that good. So how are we doing on our intercept here? Well, I reloaded the game, and so we lost our target. This is interior to Kerbal. Okay. So we're going to need to go retrograde here. Apparently this got messed up a little bit. Or rather, no, we need to go prograde? No, we need to go retrograde. That's right. We need to go retrograde here. And let's just push this back a wee bit here and see how this ends up going. We want to intercept right around here. What do we got going on? Okay, right. I was pushing a little too hard. We're going to physics warp as we turn back. There we go. And we need to bring this up to about half throttle, because that's all the more we can handle right now with our reaction wheel on this. So that'll be okay. Of course, in future, we're not going to have this tug or this one. We're going to have only one tug. I'm not sure which one yet. But for now, this will do. I definitely want this tug attached here. I probably should have just left it at the station, but I didn't actually realize we had this much delta V here. I should have checked that. That is entirely on me. Okay, so we're going to watch this intersect here. We may want to skip this intersect, though, because of the relative speed differential. Yeah. We want to skip this intersect, let this go all the way back around, and we will bring this in over here. So yeah, it was definitely something to do with it being a little off because of the physics warp. That's why it overshot pretty heavily. But this will just get pushed all the way around, and then we'll meet up over here. And that'll be a much better intercept, in theory. We overshot, no doubt about that, but that's my own fault for being impatient. And it's completely fine. I'm not too concerned about it. So this is about maximal separation here. It'll start coming back down. There we go. And we should have an intercept point right about here, in theory. Okay. It's coming on around. And let's see what this looks like. It completely vanished. Ah. Okay, so we're going to need to burn either normal or anti-normal. I'm not sure which. Our inclination's a wee bit off. Let's go ahead and figure out which. Well, we can't obviously burn quite that fast towards normal. Okay. Yeah, it's somewhere right about here that we want to burn. This is approximately correct, I think. Maybe a little bit more up over this way. Wait a second. No. We want to burn anti-normal. Okay, let's bring that on around. Anti-normal is the way to go. Cool. So we're going to burn anti-normal here. And bring this on in. Of course, we can't burn at full throttle anti-normal. But we can burn at like 1/3 throttle. There we go. Okay. How's this separation looking? Much better. So we'll bring that guy on around and we'll get this fine-tuned. That'll be okay. It's a little bit awkward with the two tugs. There's no doubt about it. But this should, in theory, be fairly close. Getting that inclination changed a bit. But we're just looking for this intersect here. We're not short on delta V so that's not a concern. We just want to get this close enough so that we can do a velocity kill. That'll be nice. And I want to burn as little of this fuel as possible for right now. So we're going to bring this on in. We're down to about 600 meters per second. I don't feel like we can really physics warp because our attach point is no longer the center of mass because of this guy. So there's that. What do we got for this intersect? About 450. Okay. I'm tempted to pause it and see about doing something to get this a little closer, but at the same time, I feel like that's not hugely useful. I don't know. Maybe it would be. But this burn is going to lose efficiency reasonably soon. But not yet. How would it look like on 2x time acceleration? I think that's reasonable. Okay. It just jumped over to another intercept here, which I gotta say I don't love. But okay, let's stop it there. And at this descending node, let's just go ahead and burn out here. It'll be fine, all things considered. Yeah, that's much more like it. That is much more like it. So that brings us down to 50 kilometers. Can we fine-tune that a little? Yes, we can. A lot. We can fine-tune that a lot. Wow, okay. So 0.6 kilometers. Cool. That should do. That's close enough. 0.7 is close enough. We'll position for that. Physics warp our turn. 67.8 meters per second. So one thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to shut down a couple of these engines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So with those engines shut down and just these 4 active, we should now be able to go full throttle, in theory. We're going to head on over, and we will arrive here in about 6 days at this burn location. Now, I don't think that this is actually going to help our burn in any meaningful way, to be clear. But let's see what happens here. So in we go. Our burn is going to start in about a minute, and I'm just going to... I overshot the... or rather, not really overshot. I warped a little faster than I was intending to there. We're 10 seconds from the burn, and that's fine. About 67.8 meters per second, and we're going to throttle this up and see how this goes. Now. Going to activate this engine as well. Okay, we're a little bit off. I'm going to have to drop it down to about 2/3 thrust. That's certainly not ideal, and that's just because of our center of mass here. I think that's okay. It will take a little bit to get this burn done, so I am going to pause the recording here, and we will be back in just a bit. See you guys soon. Okay, that burn is almost done. Here we are in the map. Now, I didn't exactly nail it because of a little bit of physics warping there, so we're a little bit off. We're going to have to mess around a little bit with burning prograde retrograde and see about fine-tuning that a tiny bit, but I'm not too concerned about it. The bigger concern for me is that 740.4 meter per second relative speed. That's going to have to change. And that's going to be a long burn. Like, that's going to be a really long burn. Okay, we'll call this good enough for now, and let's head over to prograde. And let's see about fine-tuning this separation a little bit. We'll see what this ends up looking like. With a little bit of prograde mixed into this, what is happening here? That's reducing the relative speed and the separation. I like it. That's excellent. Very glad to see that. So we're just going to fine-tune this on down a bit, bringing this up to half thrust. I did start up all of our electric, or rather all of our xenon engines all of our ion propulsion engines, just because I felt like it wasn't really helping us to have those off. So those are all back on now at this point. It jumped to this separation, but that's fine. Okay, that's about 5 kilometers apart. We're going to bring this down to a mere half a kilometer apart, if we can. We're losing efficiency here. Okay, we're going the other direction now. Let's see about burning a little bit radial. I don't think we should need any normal here. A little normal might be able to help, actually. What does radial look like? Okay, wrong way. Radial in. Let's see what that ends up looking like as soon as we get this asteroid turned around to that. What do we got here? Okay, that brought it down to 2.7. Okay, that's the best we got there. So normal it is. This is not going to be hugely efficient. We should maybe call this good enough, actually. Let's just put in a marker here for 713 meters per second. 713.4. There we go. And we are going to start that burn in 56 minutes, but we should actually do it a little bit faster. So rather than warping 56 minutes ahead, because we can only burn it like half thrust, we should have this be with 0% of the burn here. This is when we should start this. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and align for that maneuver. And once again, this is going to be a very lengthy burn. So there's some of that. Let's go ahead and warp to this as soon as we can. And that will, of course, put our separation off a little bit, but this is fine. So we're going to warp on in. And where are we relative to the station right now? I have no idea. The station should probably be fairly close, but it's not close enough to show up, I guess. It's only like 30 kilometers out. We should be seeing it. There it is. Okay. Sounds good. So we can only burn this at about half thrust. So we're going to want to start this here in, well, 30 seconds. 20 seconds. 10 seconds. And this feels like this should have started a long time ago. I did this wrong. I did this very wrong. Okay. This needed to be at 100%, not 0%. I was completely backwards on that. Okay. We don't have much choice at this point. We need to shut down all of these engines. Activate this engine. Control from here. Swing around. And we got to use this engine at this point. We're not going to thrust limit it. And let's see what we got. Because at this point, we just need to get this. Oh my, we cannot control that. We cannot control that at all. Well, we should be at target retrograde for one thing. We went on to stability assist. This is going to be problematic. There's no doubt about that. Okay. I definitely messed that up. That is 100% on me. How much can we actually control here? Not much at all. Okay. Yep, that is 1,000,000% on me. I guess that's fine. We're going to bring our apoapsis in. Out of curiosity, I wonder how it would feel if we detached this. Because it's just the center of mass that's our core issue right now. Like, it's not thrust to weight or anything. We are controlling from this grab arm. Yeah, but I did want that extra gimbaling for this, hoping that we would be able to get a little bit more thrust to weight out of it. Actually, was it at like 33%? No, that's too much. We have to have this down at like 25%. Yikes. We're going to have to do another intercept, and we're just going to bring this in for the time being. Okay. Let's see here. Let's bring this down again, like one more lap here. So we're going to bring this around. In fact, we can do this a number of times and have our relative speed get a lot better. Like, we can do this burning now. This is reasonably fine. And that is, in fact, exactly what we're going to do. So as this comes around, each time it gets here, we want our relative speed to be a lot lower than it is now, that's for sure. That was like 600 meters per second relative speed. So we certainly, I think that was the relative speed anyway there. It goes by very quickly. What is it this time? Yeah, that's like 600 meters relative speed. So we certainly need to burn this down a little bit more here. We're going to have to do another pass as we approach the mining ring station. We got very close there, but I messed up that burn. That was 100% on me. Okay. So our apoapsis is dropping by quite a lot. And that's fine. This seems to be completely okay. We need to drop our relative speed by a whole lot here. I'm wondering if we can get away with physics warping. What is our distance to the mining ring station? That should absolutely not be loaded right now. So if we could get away with a 2x physics warp, that would be amazing. That would make this go a lot faster. Looks like we can. We're going to be a little off on our ascending node, but we can fix that as we go around the orbit. Okay. We still need to continue to burn target retrograde here. This is still fine. That's a relative speed of 475. Okay. Sounds good to me. Our apoapsis is coming down. That was interesting. Not sure what happened there. Guess we need to drop our throttle a little bit. Sure. That's fine. We're going to fix our ascending node as we go around. That's not a concern. What I really want to do, we've burned off about half of our relative speed here. I want to burn off more of it. And yeah, that's about 400. So it's basically this plus 50 is pretty much what we've got right now. 50 meters per second is acceptable. We can deal with that. Okay, at this point, we're not really seeing it anymore. And that is because of our inclination, I think. So we should go over to normal at this point and try to do a little bit of inclination fixing. Okay. It's not perfect by any means, but there we go. And then we should bring in our periapsis a little bit more. So I think that's radial in or radial out. I can't remember. We're going to find out. We're also going to switch over into orbital mode here. There we go. Wrong way. So radial out. Over we go. And let's just get in position for another flyby here. Okay, we're going to bring this guy in. And of course, our apoapsis is going up right now, which isn't exactly ideal. Okay. Now we can go back to orbital retrograde. And then just bring this down a little bit here at a time. Cool. So something kind of like this at this point. We can see our apoapsis is dropping heavily. We're going to want to fix our inclination in a bit, but not right now. And of course, our periapsis is moving, which isn't perfect either. But that's okay. We're pretty far along on this orbit, and that's to be expected. So as this comes around, the question is, what is the relative velocity? We'll find out in a moment. Okay. That's quite a bit. That's for sure. I think at this point what we need to do is we need to warp to the ascending node, and we need to go to anti-normal. I don't want to add a maneuver there. I want to just warp here. We need to fix our orbit a bit. It's definitely fundamentally broken. So we're going to head over to this warp point, and we're going to fix this a bit. 455 meters per second is doable, but it's not ideal. So we're just going to tune this down a little bit here. There we go. And then we are going to warp over this way, and this time I'm going to do this correctly. So we will add in our maneuver here, and we want this to be 449.4. 449.4. There we go. And we don't actually want that to be prograde, of course. Retrograde is fine, and we want it to be target retrograde, but that's neither here nor there. So at this point, we want this to be starting the burn on the other side of the orbit, like this. Okay, we can shut down this engine and fire up these engines again. So we'll get all of these back online. Okay, is that all of them? No, we're lacking one still. Center? No. Which one did I not get? This one. There we go. We'll align for this burn. No, we won't. We're going to sit in target retrograde. So we're going to need to warp around to, like, well, to this maneuver node. And this time, we should be able to get it. In theory. So, we're only able to throttle up to half, but that's fine. We're compensating for that with this here. We want 100% of the burn delta V used to calculate the start burn value, I believe. Because we can throttle up to approximately half. So that should be fine. We'll warp ahead a little bit. And we will start this burn right about, well, not really now, but 2, 1, now. Okay. We'll hold it here and see how our, nope. We need to throttle it down a little bit. Yeah, we're holding the yaw right there. Okay. Slightly throttled up. Nope. Have to hold here. Okay, well, this is going to be another pretty lengthy burn, and we can't really afford to physics warp it. So I will have to be right back. I'll see you guys in a bit. Okay, well, that was a little more involved than I thought it was going to be, but we've got it under control now. So let me tell you what ended up happening here. As we were braking to come in over this way, we ended up increasing our distance to a point where we couldn't really catch up with the amount of thrust we had available, given our issue with center of gravity. So with that in mind, what I ended up doing was I just dropped our periapsis down, fixed our inclination, and the periapsis had dropped to about here, and then we waited several orbits, about 3 days worth of orbits, and found this interception. So that should be a much more reasonable intercept to make. We're going to make our way over to about here. That's in about 15 minutes, and this should go back in a moment. But this is going to be very interesting still. Okay, so how close are we to the station right now? Oh, it's right there. Okay, I'm going to make a quick save here. And we are immediately beginning to lag a little bit. I'm hoping that that is not due to any physics any physics issues. That would be problematic if it was. But I don't think we're crackening. But we definitely came in a little faster than I was expecting. Okay. Luckily, we're only moving at about 30 meters per second. I warped a little closer than I thought I did. I thought we would be, like, still 20 kilometers out or so. That's my own fault, for sure. It's very laggy right now. There's no doubt about that one. It seems to be smoothing out a little bit, maybe? And that's good. But we're going to have to bring this down to a halt. And that's going to take a little bit. We're going to have to do another get closer burn. Because we overshot this. This appears to be a bit cursed. But that's okay. Let's bring this up to about 2/3 thrust. I found that we've been able to handle that. Okay, that looks good. So we need to bring this down. Like I said, I thought we'd be about 20 kilometers out. We came out about 2 kilometers out. So once again, my own fault, but that is fine. We're not too far away at this point, and we're decelerating nicely. We've got about 18 meters per second to go here. I'm going to increase our speed ever so slightly here. That's a little more than I wanted, maybe. We'll keep an eye on it. Okay, so we got a bit of a flyby there. And it was definitely laggy as we were going by. I'm hoping that that's not any physics kraken starting up. But as we go away, it should unload. And we should be able to essentially reset that. But I'm not sure if we're going to get far enough away to unload it. I think that's like 1.5 kilometers. And we're only moving at 7 meters per second at this point. This is close enough for sure. Okay, so 4.5 meters per second. Moving away at 3 meters per second. 1.5. Good enough. Okay, we're going to burn towards target for the moment. And we're going to go in at about 2 meters per second. I think is the speed we're going to go at here. We're going to accelerate this a bit. That's 1 meter per second. And 2. Okay, so we'll flip this on around. Not seeing any major krakening here, so we're going to quick save, just in case. And I mean, that's going to be 1 kilometer separation, allegedly, but we're going to head on in and see how this goes. So let's just go ahead and time warp in a bit. Okay. Yeah, we're definitely going to miss a bit, but that is reasonably fine. This is actually kind of ideal here. So we're going to position to kill our relative velocity right now. So let's go ahead and do so. Just cutting that down to 0. 1.7. 1.5. That's 1 meter per second. Half a meter per second. Okay, we'll call that good. Now, we need to turn towards target, but really we want to turn here, not really here. So a little bit off of target here. Going this direction is the way that we want to go. So we're going to see what direction that ends up being. That is like this way. Okay, we're going to go in at about 5 meters per second this time. So we're going to throttle that up a bit. Cool. 2.5. 3. 3.5. 4. 4.5. And 5 meters per second. We're going to flip around to target retrograde at this time. And then we will continue to time warp. We do not want to physics warp this close to the station under any circumstances. Okay. So let's time warp on in. This jumped a bit, but it'll jump back when we untime warp. Okay. Cool. So we're about 400 meters out at this point. We're going to have to kill this momentum fairly soon. Yeah. We should kill this momentum about... Well, I'm going to let us get a little bit closer here. We should kill it very soon, though. I feel like now is reasonably fine. So let's go ahead and get that killed. Yeah, this should be okay. 3 meters per second. 2.5. 2. 1 meter per second. And we'll call that good. Okay, so now we are going to, I really wish we could target that arm, but we're once again going to flip over to target, and then we want to move over this way a bit, because we are getting very close here. Okay. I also want to roll this so that this guy is facing a bit away. So we're going to attempt to roll here. Oh, we're going behind the... we're going behind Kerbal here. So that's going to be a little bit interesting as far as power goes, but we should have plenty of power. Okay. So we're going to roll this over this direction here. Cool. And it's rolling around the center of gravity, which isn't necessarily ideal. We'll just hold it about here for now. And then I want to move like this direction-ish. Okay. And we will burn about... no, hold it here. No, hold it there. We'll burn about here. In at about 2 meters per second, I think. 8, 9, 1 meter per second. Actually, I think 1.5 is good enough. So we're going to flip around. And let's head on in. Now the question becomes, are we in reach of the grabbing arm? We'll find that out in a moment. Come on, grabbing arm. I think we're maybe going a bit too up. We'll see. If we have to correct that, we can. That will not take very much to correct. Okay, let's kill this velocity a little bit. Okay. 2, 1, 1 meter per second. Half a meter per second. Okay, we'll call that good. And at this point, we want to head to, like, one of the radials, I think? No. Normal? Well, certainly not this normal. Anti-normal? It might be anti-normal. We're basically in line here. Let's get into position-ish. Ish. Emphasis on ish. Okay. That's a bit yikes. We're going to move down this way just ever so gently. And then flip over to stability assist. And we're going to kill our relative motion here in a moment. We know that we're going this direction, which isn't necessarily what we want, but that's fine for right now. We will position right in this node. We're going too slowly to actually automatically lock to this node. But I'm going to warp a bit here. And we're going to kill this velocity once we are a little bit more in line with this guy in this dimension. This dimension is currently an important one. I don't know why this is arced right here. It looks like it shouldn't be, but we can investigate that at a later date. So for now, we're just going to kill our relative speed here very gently. There we go. And now we're going to roll up and over, not that direction, I don't think. Yeah, this direction. Okay, there we go. And we burn this way ever so gently. At just a minuscule velocity. 0.1 meters per second is enough. We're going to flip around to retrograde. And once we arrive at retrograde, we should be able to warp a bit. Okay. Retrograde is here. Okay, I just killed our velocity with time warp there. And we're going to head on in. This is a awkward angle. Okay, I didn't think we'd actually be traveling this direction. That's a weird way to go. But I guess we can line up on this axis. And that's fine. Okay. And let's kill that relative velocity. 0.1 and 0.0. Okay. So now we need to make our way over... not that way. Feeling this out is always awkward. This way. And I'd like to rotate a little bit like so. Is that good? Not quite. Very close, but not... Can we please roll the other way? Thank you. Very close, but not quite. Okay. So we will... No, don't rotate that way. No, don't rotate that way. Just hold here. Thanks. Now we're going to go up a little bit, but we need to get the correct angle here, which is difficult to do when this thing is all discombobulated. I don't know which direction is which. Okay. I guess this way? Yes, that appears to be correct. Okay. We're going to go up ever so slightly. And now I'm going to switch over to the station here. And we're going to extend this arm on out. And we're going to... Okay, that's already armed. Sounds good. So with that extending out, at this point, we need to turn until we are facing that. And I'm not sure which direction that ends up being. This way, it looks like. Yes. Okay. Something kind of like this. Nice. At this point, we can almost think about throttling up a bit to let it grab. And in fact, I'm going to do it. In we go. This should do the trick. Yeah, this'll work. And there we go. We have grabbed. I'm going to quick save here, and I'm going to immediately pause the game in case we get a Kraken, because I'm going to put a cut in here. We're well over on this episode, and next episode, we're going to mine out this rock and get this guy fueled back up. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and a very special thank you to all of the channel members for making this video possible, including Casserole, Sigma162, JJ Gamer, Spartan News, Nick Smarty, Video Games Are Not Real, and all the rest. And of course, you. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click the join button down below the video, and as always, I will see you all next time.